It's time for Reason.
They have really abused their power, saying, well, we're not going to tell you exactly how much money they used to. This is how much money we need to see for it to be, quote unquote, suitable. And that way you're constitutionally compliant. Nowadays, they say, yeah, you know what? We made a mistake back then. We're not allowed to tell you exactly how much because you do have the power of the purse, but only to some degree because we still get to tell you whether it's constitutional or not. So I can't tell you how much, but you need more money.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Then I get on my knees and pray. We don't get fooled again. Don't get fooled again.
All right, I'm really starting to think that this is going to be my life forever. Forever. I really am starting to think that this cold, this sinuses, this whatever is going to be my life for eternity. I don't know. I'm just going to have to start accepting it the way it is. Hey, welcome into the Voice of Reason. It is a Wednesday. It is a wake-up Wednesday as we are trying to get through the week for a holiday. We're done with Christmas. We're ready for the new year. We're ready to celebrate. We're ready to engage. We're ready to kick off a brand new 2018, and I'm really excited to do so, and we're going to do so right here on The Voice of Reason. Welcome into it. I am Andy Hoosier. It's an honor to have you along here. 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK. If you want to join into the program, 7 minutes past the hour, 8 minutes past the hour right now, and I do want to hear from you. It is open lines for you today as we are sketching through the 2017 year, getting ready for 2018, and as soon as we get back next week, we're going to play a best of, obviously, on Monday for New Year's Day. But as soon as we get back on January 2nd, it is 100% go. It is we hit the gas pedal. We start going as fast as we possibly can because we are going to have a lot to get done. We're going to have a lot to do as we're really, 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 really excited about 2018 with the legislative session, with the elections. People are going to begin to file their paperwork for the gubernatorial race for their finance reports, and how many of them are actually going to make it all the way through. How many of them, I'm curious, are going to be able to file with the, what is it, $2,000 that they have to file to the state in order to be on the ballot in the state of Kansas. All over the country, by the way, too. Elections going to be happening for midterms. The Democrats are so worked up about the midterm elections. They have the energy, right? I mean, they want a blue state like, Virginia. They won a bunch of state legislative seats in different states. They won the Alabama Senate race. They won these things. They're really excited. They know that they're going to come up with a landslide next year. They're going to win a majority when it comes to Congress. They're going to push for impeachment of President Donald Trump. And they're going to try and silence the evil Republicans. And you know what? I almost wonder if the Republicans don't want some of this to happen, because then they can look like they're against the Democrats again by just trying to play the obstructionist card, because they're really good at playing obstructionist. Hey, we're going to stop whatever you want to do, even though we kind of allow it to skid through the committees and we allow it to actually go through. But we're going to stop it. We're going to vote no when it comes out onto the floor because we know we don't have enough votes to stop it. And then the presidents will actually go through with it. Look, Donald Trump, we need to remember right now, he's doing great things because we have a Republican majority. We can get Republicans to actually go along with the agenda. We can actually get Republicans to do something great, and he'll sign it. If the Democrats are in control, what will Donald Trump do? He's not ideologically driven. Now, I'm not going to say that Donald Trump is just kind of a going with the breeze sort of thing. I have more faith in him than that, but I will say that Donald Trump is a negotiator, he's a deal maker, and he's going to want to still get things done. And if Democrats do end up squeaking through with the majority in one chamber or another, or both, which I don't see happening, but if they are able to get in one of the chambers, what do you think is going to happen? Donald Trump being the deal maker, Donald Trump being the negotiator, Donald Trump being the I need to get something done, is going to find the best possible bill that he can, which may not be the best bill for us. It'll be the best that we can possibly get, but instead of stopping it because he's ideologically driven and saying, no, this is wrong, he'll probably still sign something. This is the year that we make the conservative agenda stronger. We make the Republicans abide by what we want. We make the conservatives bend to our will as the people. We make sure that the moderate Republicans are not trying to get rid of everything that we work for because it's too extreme, and we need to work with Democrats. And if Democrats want a little bit of socialism, then we should take a piece of that because we need to be bipartisan with socialists. That's not what we're about. That's not what we do. and that's not what we're going to stand for. 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK. Coming up on the show today, Mark Walters, host of Armed American Radio, going to be joining us in the third hour. We'll replay some of that audio tomorrow for you in the first hour here for the Western stations and beyond. Also, I do want to make you aware, and those of you that are in the Garden City, Dodge City area that are listening to the show out there on KIUL and KYUL, first off, welcome, and we love having you aboard. Second off, you're going to have another opportunity to listen to the show and even watch the show other than just Facebook Live. I know it's crazy, but we are truly, honestly, really the fastest growing show in the entire state of Kansas. Why? Hat tip and thanks to Great Plains TV and KGPT 26.9 Newsmax TV. We are going to be streamed on TV with the Facebook Live feed every single morning, along with the channels in Garden City and Dodge City. So we're going to be on local cable, along with Facebook Live and the internet, along with the TuneIn streaming app for any of the stations that you may listen to, along with the radio stations. We're going to be on every single media platform because we have an opportunity to try and get the word out. We have an opportunity to do something really great in the state of Kansas, which I'm so excited about. We are going to be the catalyst of activism here. The media has given us so much false information that it's completely absurd. It's lies. You want to talk about hashtag fake news. We're looking at fake news directly in the face every time we open up the newspaper, every time we read an editorial, every time we read a story. It is fake news. It is lies. It is manipulation. I have not seen one single story in mainstream media that is actually a legit story of real facts when it comes to the budget for the state of Kansas, when it comes to education finance in the state of Kansas, when it comes to auditing, when it comes to the tax rates. Not one single story. There are some conservative outlets, the Sentinel, that we have on the show all the time, Kansas Policy Institute, Bob Weeks' Wichita Liberty TV, that's also on KGPT TV. There are some alternatives, but the mainstream media, when you turn on the TV for the most part, when you read the newspaper for the most part, what are you getting when it comes to the political? Now, I'm not talking about sports. I'm not talking about whatever. I'm not talking about those. The newspapers are not bad as a whole, but when it comes to political commentary, it is biased to the extreme. It is completely manipulated. And when you go door to door, when these candidates for governor are going door to door and talking to the people, when they're knocking on the doors and they're asking them about the issues that are important to them, when you see the social media comments, when these news outlets post a certain story on it's on social media, Facebook or Twitter or whatever, look at the comments, read them. You can see how they're completely naive to what's really going on. They truly, honestly think that we have cut spending every single year on education and that we are at bare bone skeleton crews when it comes to education. They think that if we don't increase taxes and we don't increase spending, then all the little puppy dogs and children will die in the state of Kansas. They truly, honestly believe that every single agency in the state of Kansas has been cut, that we've borrowed money from, that we can't fully fund them, that we can't actually do the projects that we need to. They truly, honestly think that the Kansas Highway Department, the Department of Transportation, has not been able to do any kind of programs, any kind of projects, and that the highways are crumbling before our eyes. Have you seen, in any way, shape, or form, a single story in the mainstream media, the Wichita Eagle, the Topeka Capital Journal, the Kansas City Star, Garden City Telegram? Have you seen a single story, a legit, not one like an opinion piece, but a reportive story that actually went to the Department of Transportation, that talked to them about the quality of the highways, that talked to them about how much money we spend on maintaining the highways, to talk about them about the new projects that are happening in the bridges that we maintain, and to realize that we are number 3 in the entire country for the best maintained state highways in the country? Has anybody reported that? No. We did. Right here on the show. We talked to the head of the Department of Transportation. We've talked to different people from different departments and agencies in the state government. We know what's going on. We are the ones that are in tune. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, we're so excited to be able to expand, to grow, to get this information out, because you as a voter need to be informed on what's happening and what's going on. You as a voter need to understand exactly what the real issues are. You need to hear both sides of it, and then you can make up your mind. You may not always agree with me, and that's totally okay. I actually love the dialogue. If you want to call in and argue with me, I love it. You don't have to agree with me. You can even just sit in your car as you're driving to work and say, this guy's a putz. But at the same time, listen to the facts that we present. Listen to the information that we try and give you. Listen to the importance of the discussions that we like to have with the guests that we like to bring on, with the commentary that we like to have, with the discussion, with the facts, with the information that we give, because I cannot change it. I don't want to change it. I want to give you the tools to be able to change it yourself. I always say on the show, all the hosts, and I know it's kind of funny, but all the talk show hosts see themselves as kind of leaders. You know, everybody look to me as I give you the information because I am the one on the radio, and you can hear my sweet voice in your car every time you drive, on your phone every time you listen to the podcast, and every time that you turn me on social media. That's not what I am. I don't care about any of that. I want to give you the tools and information so next time when you vote, when you go to that voting booth, if you feel the need and the urge to want to go and campaign for somebody, if you want to go and knock on doors, if you want to make phone calls, if you want to get involved and get engaged, then you have the ability and the tools to do so because of the information that we gave you. That's what it's about. When we change things on the local level and we start making our local community better by the people that we elect, by what we say, by who we're engaged with, by what we show up to, when we do that, and everybody begins to do that, every local community starts getting better, which means the county gets better, which means the state gets better, which means, guess what? Everybody's looking to Kansas again to see what we're all about.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Hey, good morning to you. Welcome back into the Voice of Reason right here on the Mid-America Network. Appreciate you hanging out with us today. It's a Wednesday. It's a hashtag Wake Up Wednesday because we're getting you pumped for the day. We're getting you excited, ready to go as you try and finish off this week and get ready for a whole another holiday. It's always hard when you come back from the holiday. Not like next week, next Tuesday, Wednesday, and you got kind of a shortened week. But then the first full week after that, and you realize that there's not another holiday for a really long time. I know, that's a tough one. But you know what? Let's enjoy it while it lasts. What do you say? This is your show, as it always is, 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK. I want to hear from somebody on the western part of the state as well. Your thoughts on a recap as we start doing this, the recap of the year, how we've been, what we did, what we're looking forward to for 2018. There's a lot to get to and a lot to do, so I want to hear from all of you, as this show's not just about me ranting on, although that is entertaining, or at least we try to make it entertaining, but it's about you and your thoughts and how we can move forward together, and that's what it's all about. 316-721-8255. For example, after that monologue in the last segment talking about the importance of the real news, not hashtag fake news, in the state of Kansas, because there is hashtag fake news in the state of Kansas. We need the real news. For example, this is out of the Topeka Capital Journal. Wichita trial attorney Alan Roop, as you know, the attorney that's been fighting for more education funding. We need more school funding, man, because we just don't have enough. The billions of dollars we already have in the system is just not enough. The 53% of the state budget is just not enough. All those poor little kids are going to be dying in the streets. It's almost like Medicaid. It's really almost like Obamacare and almost like Medicaid, that if we don't expand it, then they're going to be dying in the streets. They're going to be dying in the gutters. They're going to be dying on the side of the road because they don't have the proper education. Not that, if you remember, way back when, you look way back far, when we didn't have a Department of Education, like before 1960. If you remember then, before then, we didn't have government-run schools, and I don't know, I know it's a shocker for a lot of people. I know it's pretty wild, but we still had really smart, educated people. We even had inventors that invented stuff like, I don't know, metal and guns and automobiles and airplanes and stuff. And we did that without even a government-run public education system. I know it's a really wild thing to fathom here, but let's just think about that for just a second as we spend billions and billions and billions of dollars on public education, and we're not seeing people even graduate being able to read at a high school level. We're not even able to see people do math at a high school level. We go to college and have to go take remedial classes. We go through 12 years of school. We go through a higher education system, go to college, and we're there, and we have to teach basic English. We have to teach basic math. I went to college. I went from high school, which I graduated with honors. I graduated with like a 3.7 GPA. It wasn't the best, but it was fine. I was like number 12 in my class. I was okay with that. I don't want to be the top. That's fine. I'll let them get all that glory. I didn't want to speak or whatever. Whatever. Number 12, I'm totally happy with that. I go off to college, and what do they say? You don't have enough credits for English. You need to take another basic English class. And it was ridiculous. Oh, sorry. This is a 4-year college. Remember, you used to go to university to be able to go and major in something and just go and take the classes that you want to take because that's what you're going to school for? No. Not anymore. Now you got to go to the university. You got to do the 4-year thing. And the first 2 years of it are just taking basic classes, the same crap that you took during high school. Why? Because, well, the university needs more money, and because you apparently didn't graduate knowing how to do the basic stuff because of the public education system. Either way, you're wasting money and time, which I hate wasting money and I hate wasting time. Both of them. If we're going to do something, do it. Let's get her done and not have to worry about wasting our time in other ways, shape, or form. So either we're wasting time and money in high school because they're not teaching us what we need to know to get into college, or we're wasting money and time in college because they want to get more money, so they think that you need to take basic remedial junk again. And when we see the test scores here in the state of Kansas with graduation rates and with the test scores, and we see an 8 to 11% college preparedness by the junior year of high school, 8 to 11%. Are you kidding me? Now, not everybody's going to go on to college, and that's totally fine. But you're telling me that 8 to 11% only of high school students in the state are actually ready to go on to college and be able to take their college courses. And how much money are we spending on this again? Oh, well, we just need more. As long as we just throw more money at it, then all of a sudden it'll fix itself, right? Yeah. Let's throw more money at it. Then it'll fix itself. It's not the standards. It's not the quality. It's not the curriculum. It's not the teachers. It's not the red tape by the administration. It's not the massive growing administrative state and administrators and the and whoever else is involved in that. It's not the Department of Education. It's not the teachers unions. It's not any of that actually prohibits and restricts the students from actually just going to school and just learning what they need to learn. No, it's the fact that we don't have enough money going into it because then it needs to get bigger. I really think that Olympic-sized swimming pool, I really, truly, honestly think that AstroTurf on the football field, I really think that tennis complex is going to be able to get them to do better on their math scores. Then we'll be okay. Wait, I'm confused.
Spreading the love on a daily basis.
And I will always love you.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Hope you enjoy my singing, everybody. Welcome back into the Voice of Reason right here on the Mid-America Network. Appreciate you hanging out with us today on a Wednesday. It is a hashtag Wake Up Wednesday because that's just what we're all about. 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK. Shoot me a message all over social media on the Voice of Reason page on KQAM's page on Facebook, on the Twitter at Hoosier Reason, the Facebook live feed we have going on. Many people joining that this morning. Good morning. Welcome aboard to you on that one. Let me ask you a question. As a parent, have you ever done this? Or maybe as a grandparent, remembering when you were a parent, or maybe you did this as a grandparent. Who knows? Do you remember? Let's say the kid is starting to act up a little bit, starting to act out, starting to get a little self-centered, starting to get a little loud, starting to not listen to everybody. Maybe they're going through the mine phase. Maybe they're going through the you can't tell me whatever phase. Maybe they're going through the I hate you phase. Doesn't really matter. But let's just say that the kid's beginning to act out. How do you respond to that? Do you politely sit them down and say, okay, now listen, you can't be doing that. That's really, really naughty. And if you do that again, then I'll have to ask you nicely again not to do that. Sometimes that works. Not very often, I'm guessing, though. Do you get a little snippy? Hey, knock that off. Not going to deal with that no more. Okay, sometimes that works, but only to a certain extent. Sometimes they just continue to do it. So what do? Sometimes you have to scare them, quote unquote, a little bit. You threaten to take something away. You threaten to say they're not allowed to do something. Sometimes you threaten, hey, if you keep this up, Santa Claus ain't coming, I tell you what. Hey, if you keep this up, you ain't going to go to your little friend Bobby's house when you get done cleaning your room. You're just going to go right to your room. Hey, you better finish your homework or else you are going to, work in a factory for the rest of your life and suffer. I think I got told that once. I was in school. I was even young. I think I was middle school and ended up getting a bad test grade. And hey, my parents were really upset with me because I just didn't study for this one. And they put it up on my wall and it was like a D or whatever. They said, look, I want you to look at that every single day because every time you see that D on that test, you're going to be thinking about you having to go work in a factory for the rest of your life. I remember that one. Scares you a little bit, right? But you scare them, you go overboard to try and make the case. On the other hand, let's say that you're a coach for a sporting team, for a baseball team, a football team, basketball, whatever, and they have a bad habit with their technique. They're not pitching right. They're not catching it right. They're not running right. What do you do to be able to fix that? You overcorrect, right? You overcorrect so that way they get into the groove of falling into the happy medium. You overcorrect the mistake so they fall in, and then you practice the muscle memory over and over and over and over again. That's what you do. No matter what circumstance you're looking at, you sometimes have to take it to the extreme in order to make it happen. The Kansas Republican Party, the Kansas GOP, is trying this, and I wish they had to go and to be able to stand up and defend what they're threatening right now, but I don't think they do. I wish they would. I think it would be nice if they did. I don't know if they're able to do it. The prominent GOP talking point right now after the Education Committee hearing that they had about a week or so ago is that they are potentially cutting or threatening to cut 18% across the board, all the spending of every other agency if we continue to talk about increasing education funding by $600 million. We increase spending by $600 million, and we threaten to say, okay, we'll cut 18% across the board. Now, if you remember about a year or so ago when Governor Sam Brownback had proposed about cutting or proposing when the different agencies and departments and committees and everybody proposed their budgets for the next year, he asked them to do a separate budget alongside it with a 5% budget reduction and see what that would look like. Just to look at it. Not that they were going to do it, but just as a worst case scenario or a proposal to see where we could start doing some trimming. 5%. Not that much. 5% of a budget is not a whole lot. And if you remember, they panicked. They freaked. How dare the Governor Sam Brownback ask us to cut 5% in our entire budget? That could shut us down. I like using that sound effect because it's very dramatic, is it not? I mean, I guess you could say that Brownback, they tried to laugh at him. Hey, Brownback, you can't make us do that. Yeah. And that's really what they did. Because how dare you ask us for a 5% budget cut? So now the Republicans, when we go into the Education Committee hearing and we say, all right, we need to, first off, we're not going to fund an additional $600 million. We're not going to raise taxes. It's just not going to happen. We did a retroactive tax increase last year that started in July, another tax increase is going to take place in January, in just 3 days, 4 days, 5 days? And then once we do that, the Kansas people are not going to be very happy. So how do we respond? Well, the only thing we can do is borrow money from other places. So if you want $600 million, we will cut 18% across the board. I wish they were serious when they said this. But that doesn't sound like something that legislative session, the legislative members, most of them, not all of them by any means, but a lot of them that were there last year, they're not able to make bold statements like this. I wish they were. I wish they would. I wish they could. I wish they'd draw that line in the sand and say, this is our line, and if you continue to threaten, then we will cut spending elsewhere, or you're just not going to get it. And if you want to shut down schools, that's on you, not on us, because we will not raise another cent in taxes. But I don't know if they're going to be able to do that. I don't know if they will stand. This is their threat right now. If this actually goes through, I'd be very happy and content, but I don't expect it to do so. The prominent GOP talking point is that the 2018 legislative session centers on potential 18% across the board spending cuts if the lawmakers are compelled to secure that $600 million. Some believe necessary to bring state education aid into compliance with the Kansas Constitution. Such savage cuts, according to the Topeka Capital Journal, very nice little reporting, savage cuts. They're savages. How dare they cut our money? Such savage cuts are possible, Republican legislative leaders said, because the legislature has no appetite for back-to-back state tax increases. Alan Roop, however, the lawyer to be able to fight for continued education funding. Now, if you're outside of the state right now, the reason I'm still talking about this is because this is what's coming your way. Oklahoma, you cut all you could on spending. You're going to be raising taxes, but if you have to cut more spending, what do you think they're going to cut it on? Texas, you're doing better as far as I know. But you've had some expenditures come up with some of the hurricanes and relief and everything going on. And if you're having to deal with some of this crap as well, then what's going to happen? Where are you going to cut funding? Progressives hate cutting spending. Rhino Republicans, moderate Republicans hate cutting spending. Why? Because they see the need for the revenue, and as long as they got the revenue coming in, they'll find ways to get more revenue, and they won't pay things off. They'll just continue to spend. This happens on every state. This scenario could be taken instead of education. It could be taken for highways. It could be used for pensions. I mean, look at Illinois. They're still trying to figure it out, and they're going to be talking about 30% tax rates just for state taxes. It's unbelievable. State lawmakers attempted to tackle this issue and use this tactic decades ago in a previous school funding dispute. According to Alan Roop, it simply doesn't work. K through 12 in higher education are not Republicans or Democrats. Putting this and pitting groups against each other will not be successful because they have the same interest at heart. You have one interest, and that interest is I'm going to pad my pocket line. I'm going to pad my wallet with that $7+ million that I've received over the last few years in order to create a lawsuit using taxpayer money to fight for more taxpayer money for a public education system because I am Alan Roop and I can do whatever the hell I want to. That's your interest. You're right. It's not Republican. It's not Democrat. It is ridiculous. It should be common sense, but this discussion over the last, 10 years has been ridiculous, has been absurd, has been manipulated, has been lies. So when you talk to the general public and you see them on social media and you hear them talk on the streets and you hear them talk whatever, they're panicky because they don't feel they have money. They feel that they've been cutting different classes. They've been cutting different options. They've been cutting different programs because they don't have any money. It's not true. It's lies. It's hashtag fake news. He said higher taxes would be low on the legislative agenda. This is Ron Reichman, by the way, the Republican majority leader. Higher taxes would be low on the legislative agenda where the session opens January 8th. It is an election year. In 2017, legislature imposed a controversial $1.2 billion two-year expansion on the income tax to stabilize the overall budget, but they don't want to do any more because it's an election year. Now, if it was not an election year, if this is 2019, I guarantee you half the Republicans that were in there that voted for the tax increase last time would be doing it again this time. I guarantee they would. Now, they have to go back to their constituents and promise that they're not going to raise taxes again to get reelected. Is it going to work? I don't know. But because of that fact, they are treading lightly. Oh, well, we can't raise taxes again, so we'll just have to borrow money. And we don't really want to make a decision on increasing funding that much more, $600 million up to $1.5 billion potentially. We don't really want to go down that road, so we'll draw that arbitrary line in the sand and say, if you cross that, boy, oh boy, you're going to be in naughty, naughty trouble, and how dare you actually want to do that? And we'll have to ask you politely to not do that again. And then we'll try and compromise and work bipartisanly in order to make you feel really, really good about yourself, so that way we can both get out what we want. And maybe we'll only increase it by $400 million. And then we could probably do it without raising taxes, or we'll just raise taxes a tiny, tiny bit. Or maybe we'll just delay lowering your sales taxes. I remember, we have the highest sales tax in the country. You going to the grocery store and buying groceries, good luck with that. We have some of the highest grocery prices in the country because of our sales tax. And if you're okay with that, that's cool. If you love going to the grocery store and spending $50 and you got 3 items in your cart, then all the power to you. I'm not okay with that. I like small grocery prices. I like lower grocery prices. I like building up my cart and stocking up on food for the next month and not having to pay a whole lot, because, I'm conservative and like to keep my own money. But if you feel really good about that, then all the power to you. If you like spending, $1,000 on groceries every month, good luck. You have a donation check that you can write to the government every single week because you feel really guilty about holding that money. I don't think that that's where you're at in your life, right? I'm pretty sure that most Kansans would like to keep the money in their pocket. They'd like to spend money on what they would like to. They'd like to invest the money how they would like to do so. And doing so by $600 million. And then you get the bonds, the local bonds. Oh, by the way, yeah, we just got $600 million in education funding, but we really need to create another local bond issue because we need more improvements on our school building because we don't have any money. We're waking up to it. You're not getting away with it any longer. Alan Roop, sorry, but your lawsuit days are done.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Hey, good morning to you. Welcome back into the Voice of Reason, rocking and rolling on a Wednesday morning. It's a pleasure to have you along today. Good morning to you. Let's carpe diem all over this place, make it a good one, shall we? I know it's a holiday. I know either you're still zoned out and tuned out and not even wanting to deal with this stuff, or you're still having to get up and go to work every single day. That's what we're here for. Welcome aboard. 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK. If you want to join into the program, I'd love to hear from you today. I'm curious. This is a question that I've always had. I've never understood it. I've always wanted to be interested in, what does it mean to be a moderate? People sometimes hype it up like that. That's proud. We saw in the last elections last year, the pins that said Proud Rhino, Republican in name only. People talk about how they're moderate, how they're centerized as opposed to the extreme conservative or the extreme progressive. I'm always curious to see what it means to be moderate. I don't understand. I mean, I'm not trashing it. I just don't understand. I legitimately do not understand. I'm not Republican or Democrat. I'm not conservative or liberal or progressive or traditionalist or constitutionalist. I am moderate. What does that mean? What does it mean to be moderate? Because if you're Republican, then you should at least believe in Republican values, Republican concepts, Republican ideas, which means limited taxes, lower spending, less regulation, focus on the private sector. That's it. So when a bill comes up and you have an idea of, I'm going to increase regulation, or I'm going to vote no to stop the increase of regulation, you by idea would vote no. When you have an idea come up to say, I'm going to support universal health care, or I'm not going to support universal health care run by the government, then you would say, no, I'm not going to because I'm a Republican. But yet, there are Republicans that believe in these ideas. There are Republicans that support these concepts. And I don't understand it. And they call themselves moderates. How can you be a moderate when you believe in a socialist agenda? You're not a moderate, you're a left-wing ideologue. We have two individuals in the state legislature, in the state of Kansas, that have lower freedom index score ratings than all the Democrats, 2 Republicans. The 2 lowest on the spectrum for Freedom Index scores are Republicans, and they are called moderates. How are they called moderates when they're left of even every single Democrat in the legislature? How is that being a moderate? It doesn't make any sense. But that's the group right now that thinks, just like the progressives, just like the Bernie Sanders movement, just like everybody else, they're the ones to think that they actually had the momentum to go into the next year. That Donald Trump has been too extreme. Donald Trump has destroyed the Republican Party. Donald Trump says things a lot of people don't like. Donald Trump this, Donald Trump that. Donald Trump's evil, horrible, terrible. And by the way, the conservatives and traditionalists like Ted Cruz or Rand Paul or Mike Lee, those guys, they're just too extreme for us. We're moderates because we like to work with Democrats. Democrats have one agenda right now, to stop Donald Trump. In the state of Kansas, Democrats have one agenda right now, to stop Sam Brownback. Democrats have one agenda, to stop Chris Kobach. Democrats have one agenda, to expand Medicaid, to increase spending, to raise taxes, to increase regulation, to increase more social spending, to increase government programs. That is their agenda. And you think you can be bipartisan with that? Do you really think? Now, I'm all for bipartisanship. I'm all for compromise and negotiation. But if we advocate for any bit of an agenda like that, you are not being a moderate. You are not being bipartisan. You are betraying your Republican values. End of story. I can't be for that. It's time the Republicans remember how to compromise. That's why I enjoyed this tax bill so much at the federal level, because that was true negotiation and compromise. We negotiated, we compromised, we haggled, we debated, we argued, we wrote, we rewrote, we voted, we revoted. We did some really cool, great stuff with this bill, and we came out with a decent, solid bill to lower taxes for everybody that President Donald Trump signed. That's how the process is done. But that was done without a single Democrat being involved in it in any way, shape, or form. Our compromise and our negotiation, our debating had to come from within the party, not even from outside of the party. That's a problem. That's an issue. When John Kasich, the governor of Ohio, is running a pro-immigration, pro-environment, quote unquote, because apparently we're anti-environment because we're not environmentalists, which is stupid. But because of that, he's running, oh, by the way, with the Democrat John Hickenlooper and planning a 2020 presidential bid again as a moderate Republican that's a safe space for refugees, that's a safe space for illegal immigrants and dreamers, that's working with an extreme left-wing progressive Democrat from Colorado, and that, oh, by the way, is pro-environment because we hate the environment. This idea is not going to work in the Republican Party.
It's time for Reason.
They have really abused their power, saying, well, we're not going to tell you exactly how much money. They used to. This is how much money we need to see for it to be, quote unquote, suitable. And that way you're constitutionally compliant. Nowadays, they say, yeah, you know what? We made a mistake back then. We're not allowed to tell you exactly how much because you do have the power of the purse, but only to some degree because we still get to tell you whether it's constitutional or not. So I can't tell you how much, but you need more money.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Then I'll get on my knees and pray. We don't get fooled again. Don't get fooled again.
Good morning to you. Welcome into the Voice of Reason right here on the Big Talker 1480 on the AM side, 102.5 on the FM side, KQAM. Good Wednesday morning. It's a hashtag a Wake Up Wednesday. We're trying to get pumped up, get excited. It's halfway through the week already. We had Christmas off. Now we're getting ready for the New Year's holiday. We are having just way too much fun, and hopefully you are as well. As you're starting off your day, maybe you're sleeping in a little bit because maybe you have this whole week off. Maybe you're traveling, and if you are, safe travels to you. If you are having to go up and get up early in the morning, or you just can't sleep because your clock already says, hey, it's time to get moving, then welcome aboard. Good morning to you, and let's get it started. What do you say? 721-8255-721-TALK. It's open lines to you this hour. I want to hear from you, whatever's on your mind. We've been having a little fun. Last hour kind of did the hard of politicking. This hour, going to have it a little bit lighter. Hour number 3, Mark Walters, host of Armed American Radio, going to be joining us at 8 o'clock. Going to be talking about a year-end recap. A lot of things happened, didn't it? A lot of things happening for the new year. For 2017, for the new 2018, I think we can be kind of excited about it. Shoot me a message all over social media, by the way, on Facebook, on the Voice of Reason page, the KQAM page, on the Twitter at Hoosier Reason, the Facebook Live feed that's up and rolling as well, as many people checking that out. Good morning to you. We love you and appreciate you hanging out on there. I'm still trying to figure out all this technology that I have. I got this new smartwatch that I'm wearing. I have the new Bluetooth earpiece that I have. I have this drone at home now that I get to use, and I'm trying to figure this all out. I'm not a technically savvy individual. When I was growing up as a kid, as you know, I was right on the breaking point. Like as I remember the first grade, the first computers were coming out, and they had the big blocky computers, and that's what we were learning on. And they had enough computers to start learning how to type and work on these things. As I've grown, technology has grown as well, which is kind of cool. It's kind of I love the stories that I get to grow up with them. That's why I was a big fan of the Harry Potter book series, because as I was reading, I was the exact same age as Harry Potter. As he was doing his thing, I was doing mine, and the changes and the thinking process and the lifestyle, and just maybe not the lifestyle because I don't wear a crazy hat and a wig and talk to magical things, but nonetheless, you get what I'm talking about. I grew up with the character. Technology, my generation grew up with the technology. As we grew up, the technology advanced as well. We still had the traditional kid lifestyle to where we went outside and played. We actually went outside and got to enjoy. We didn't sit in front and play video games for the entire day. We didn't do that stuff necessarily as much. We still played video games because they were still relatively new, but we didn't spend our entire livelihood doing that. We got to enjoy and go out and actually do stuff once in a while. There was a big difference. Today is totally different. Today, if you notice, the young generation, they live their lifestyle completely different. How many of them want to just go outside and play? How many of them just want to go outside into the woods and just run around and throw rocks and stones and use their imagination and go hunting or go fishing or just go catch something or just whatever? How many of them want to do that? Openly, choosingly want to go do that, instead of their parents saying, get outside and play. Some may, but not very much. My generation, my youth was really the last one that got to do that, because the technology was not there as a cell phone in your pocket bleeping all the time. It was not the computer that was there telling you about a new notification. It was not the Facebook that was telling you that you got messages. It was not the social media that kept you entertained. It was not the videos online and the online streaming. It was not the fun little games and apps on your phone that kept you busy all day to where you don't do a thing. It wasn't like that. Nowadays, it's totally different. And as a parent, haven't quite got to that point yet to where my daughter wants to play with that stuff. She does a little bit. Her favorite thing is Snapchat. I just got Snapchat on my phone. Still don't know how to use it, but I got it on my phone because she loves the different filters. She thinks it's great. I have no idea what it is. But new kids, I don't know if you've seen this. I've seen the kids walking at the schools. When I was in Colorado, my dad at a time was a school bus driver, and we would ride on his bus and hang out with the kids. And we would go to the elementary school, and I would see 5-year-olds, they're first and second graders that are walking around with earbuds with their smartphone. It boggles me. I didn't even know that parents would want to do. Why in the world would you get your 5, 6, 7-year-old kid a smartphone to walk around, to not socialize with their friends, but to walk around with the earbuds in the phone and playing with the smartphone? I just don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. That, to me, is completely foreign, because you don't do that. My kid personally is not getting a cell phone until they're driving. My kid personally is not getting a phone until they're ready to go off to college, because they're, no, I don't care. I don't care if they're technologically behind. I don't care. She's not getting it. It's not going to happen. There's a new app out, and as a parent, I'm opening up the lines to you to get your thoughts on this, because there's a new app out for parents, because there is a parent who would try and text their kid all the time about important matters or asking a question, and the teenager would instinctively forget to respond to it, and the parent didn't like it. So now there's a new app And you want to talk about being technologically savvy. You want to talk about being plugged into the system. You want to talk about Big Brother, or even talk about the helicopter mother. Think about this: a new app that blocks all apps, that blocks everything on your phone until you acknowledge and you respond back to the message from your parents. Your parents can put this app on the phone, on their kid's phone, so that way it's locked up entirely. You're not allowed to surf the internet. You're not allowed to make phone calls. You're not allowed to do anything until you acknowledge the app and then you respond to the message. I don't know if I'm a fan of this. And you want to talk about helicopter parents. Remember the days that I just mentioned about me being not technically savvy? We didn't have the smartphones. We didn't have the computers. We didn't have the social media. And we were out playing and our parents didn't care. All right, go outside and play. You have 80 acres of land to go play on. Go out in the woods and play. We'll see you at dark time for supper. When the sun goes down, come back. I don't want to see you until then. You got apple trees, you got raspberry trees, you got cherry trees, you got raspberry bushes, you got currants, you got blackberries, you got gooseberries, you got whatever. You're outside, you can play, you can survive, have fun. We'll see you when it gets dark. And that's how I grew up. That's what I was used to. You didn't have the parents hovering over you the entire time. You didn't have the helicopter parents saying, oh, I need to make sure you're in your little bubble. I got to get you that sanitary stuff because you got dirt under your fingernails and it's a terrible thing. You went out and played with your friends. You rode your bike 2 miles down the road to go play with your buddy on their farm, and you got to help them, pitch hay out of the stalls of the horses or whatever it was. Now, I get being sitting living is probably a little bit different, but you've seen the old movies as well. They go out and play out in the streets with their kids. They have a good time with their friends. They enjoy. They come back at nighttime and, hey, we just went out and played. We got in a little bit of trouble. We had some fun. That's what you did. Nowadays, your parents haven't seen you in 20 minutes. Where are you? Are you okay? If you're one of those parents, I want to hear from you because I'm very intrigued by this. By my growing up, I'm going to be very hands off with my daughter. She's going to be doing her own thing. She's going to experience the world by herself. If she gets into trouble, that's her own daggone fault. We'll teach her the right things, what's right and wrong, obviously, but we're not going to be the helicopter parent. You need to experience. You need to know not to put the hand on the burner because you put your hand on the burner and you burnt yourself. Instead of telling them no, over and over and over and over again. And every time that they get close, you have a little sensor that goes off when they get close to the oven. No. Put your hand on the burner, fine. If you really want to do it, put it on there and see how it feels, and I bet you won't do it again, will you? You live by experience. Everybody wants to reinvent the wheel. Everybody as a kid needs to experience the world by themselves, and I don't know if having an application that locks your phone entirely until you respond to your parents is a good thing. I still can't get a hold of him. It's very easy, as it's always on silent because he's playing games or he's been at school or forgotten to turn the sound back on. It seems that they're also aware that the teenager's son may be ignoring the messages and wanted to find a way to ensure that Ben not only saw the messages but replied to them in a timely manner. There didn't seem to be a solution out there that allowed me to send a message to him that would override the silent function and appear over what he was doing and tell me when he had seen it. So he did what any smart parent would do. He invented an app. And the app, here's how it works. It's called Reply ASAP. Reply ASAP. When you send a message to someone using Reply ASAP, it sounds an alarm on their phone, even if the phone is on silent. That works out really great. Well, if you're in school, if you're in school and you're taking a test, or you're just in school and you're doing your classwork, or you're in study hall, or you're in church, or you're in a place where you need to be really, really quiet, and all of a sudden your phone goes off, even though you put it on silent, and it goes off. Hey, kid, I love ya. Was that important? It was important to us, so we sent it. The message appears over whatever they're doing on their phone. The alarm continues until the message is acknowledged. This allows the parents to confirm that the child has seen the message and prompts them to reply to stop the noise and get back with whatever else they want to do on their phones. We're talking about extreme helicopter parenting here. And if you're one of those fans that like to be in touch with everything that your kids are doing, this doesn't monitor, this doesn't block, this doesn't protect. All it does is just make them aware that you need to get a hold of them. I don't know if this is really the best app. During the development process, I spoke to my child, being the inventor of this, and showed him the designs and thinking behind the app, and he likes the idea because he will know if he gets one of these messages that he will always hear it when it's important. What if the parent takes it just to a bit of the extreme? What do you think? 721-8255-721-TALK. I'd love to hear from you on this, on your thoughts of the parent app, the Reply ASAP. Even if it's on silent, it continues to make noise until they acknowledge it and until they respond to it, because you, the parent, are the most important thing in their life, and they cannot survive without you, and they need to respond to you ASAP, regardless of what they're doing in their life, right? I have a little bit of a problem with that. This is the Voice of Reason on KQAM. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier on the Big Talker KQAM.
Hey, good morning to you. Welcome back into the Voice of Reason right here on the Big Talker KQAM. I want to hear from you if you are a helicopter parent, or what you think about the new app, the Reply ASAP app, that allows you to lock your teen's phone until they acknowledge and respond to your text message. Because even though that they are connected to social media and connected to their phone all the time, they so happen to sometimes forget to respond to you if they don't do so in a timely manner. And then, oh, we didn't see it, we forgot about it, so on and so forth. So are you one of those parents that would like to see something like that? Or is what you have to say not necessarily that important, and you know what, they respond to you quick enough and you're totally okay with that? Or are you going to be like me, to where I say, you know what, sorry, you're not even going to get a phone until you're actually off in college, or you can afford it yourself? That's my goal. That's my goal. They can go off and just do whatever they need to. And when she goes off to college or she starts driving, that's when I'm going to get her phone. I'm telling you, she can afford it herself, then she's good enough to get it beforehand. But until then, she ain't getting a phone until she starts driving. 721-8255-721-TALK. Some fun there. I did see a piece, and this really, really fits the millennial generation, the young generation. This according to BabylonBee.com. A national task force of Bible scholars have voted to raise the biblical age of accountability. Now, if you're Catholic, you'll know this. I had to look at it, but apparently there's an age of accountability to where you are now responsible for your own actions, for you to either be sinful or not sinful. And if you finally reach that age, then whatever you do from there on out, you are accountable for yourself. Before that, then you're just an innocent young child that doesn't understand quite enough. But now, this according out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, they voted to raise the biblical age of accountability to 30 for late blooming millennials. According to the decision, millennials who die before the age of 30 will receive automatic entry into the kingdom of heaven, along with complimentary participation trophies. Focus on the Family founder, James Dobson, wrote the majority decision for the task force, explaining that it was, quote, no longer practical to assume the traditional age of accountability, usually around 12 years old, would be the age by which God held millennials responsible for their eternal destiny. Case studies reveal chronic immaturity, lack of rational decision-making skills, embrace of socialism revealing serious mental abnormalities, and a strong desire to spend each paycheck on craft beer, artisan coffee beverages, and slouchy beanies. According to Dobson, the decision was praised by the millennials, of course, worldwide, saying, quote, by their spokesperson, since our circumstances are not our own fault at all, we totally deserve the decision. Like, obviously. There it is. The age of accountability, if you're Catholic, the age of accountability no longer 12, but now towards 30 years old, because we're not responsible for our actions until we're actually 30 years old. So guess what, ladies and gentlemen? I have one more year until I actually turn that 30. So I get to enjoy it, and I'm not responsible for my actions. So if I say or do something, it's not my fault. I just get to enjoy the time for being young, right? Yeah, 721-8255-721-TALK. I do want to tell you about, we're going to start giving tickets away probably tomorrow, and I'm really excited about this. Coming up on Tuesday, January 9th, it's going to be Chris Ann Hall. She's speaking for her Prosperity Liberty Tour. If you've not heard of Chris Ann Hall, she is the president of Liberty First University. She is a syndicated radio host. She is a commentary. She is a constitutional expert. She is a constitutional attorney. And if you want to talk about traditionalism, if you want to talk about constitutionalism, if you want to talk about the original context of the Constitution, this is where you need to go. It's $10.70. It's not that expensive. All you got to do is go to wichitaTix.com. It's right on the front page there. It is coming up on Tuesday, January 9th, beginning at 7 p.m. Doors will open at 5 p.m. It's at the Convention Hall at Century 2. And this is something you're not going to want to miss. We've been talking about the Article 5 movement, Convention of the States, right? We've talked about Convention of the States and how we can start holding the federal government accountable through the ability of the states. We need to remember what the role of the state governments actually are. The role of the states compared to the role of the federal government. And being a constitutional expert, she doesn't look at necessarily the current events of the day. She doesn't look at it through the lens of today's times. She looks at it on what the Constitution is supposed to be about. It is by the way, our rule of law, our founding document, what everything's supposed to be based on, and we forget that sometimes, and we don't understand it. We don't know it. We try to adapt it. We try to make it a living document, and it's not necessarily the case. So KrisAnne Hall, great constitutional expert. We're going to get her on the show hopefully next week to promote the event again, but she will be joining Wichita. She'll be coming here to Century 2 to the Convention Hall on Tuesday, January 9th. We'll have some tickets starting tomorrow. We'll give some away. But if you want to go, they're going to sell out fast. You're not going to want to miss it. It's going to be a big deal. I'll be there that day. It's going to be a lot of fun. WichitaTix.com. WichitaTix.com. $10.70. Not that expensive. Go get your tickets now to KrisAnne Hall's Prosperity Liberty Tour. Coming up in just a couple of weeks here. This is The Voice of Reason on KQAM.
Doesn't tolerate name calling.
You could put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables.
But if you want to try, call the show at 316-721-8255 right now. This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Welcome into The Voice of Reason right here on the Big Talker, KQAM, 36 minutes past the hour. Good morning to you. Hashtag Wake Up Wednesday. As we're starting off the day here, I'd love to hear from you. 721-8255, 721-TALK. It's open lines to you on whatever you want to talk about. Anything that you want to cover, you're more than welcome to do so right here, right now. This portion of The Voice of Reason brought to you by Network Consultants, business owners. You're starting to plan for 2018. Hopefully, you've already kind of started your prepping for 2018, but the end of the year's here. And if you maybe ran into some problems this year, ran into computers crashing, what do computers last 3 to 5 years? If you run them nonstop, day in and day out, and they're on all day long, they're always operating, they always have something going on, they'd last close to 3 to 5 years, not that long. Maybe you have backups on them. Maybe you have certain programs that you run on them. Maybe you have a network that's trying to expand. You got more people hiring because you're doing well, and you bring on new people. They need computers. They need to be hooked up to the network. They need to be hooked up to the network printers or the network shared drives or whatever the case, whatever you do. If you have any of those sorts of things, and you have trouble with them, don't let it be bothersome. Don't let it be expensive. Network Consultants can help you with that. They work on your firewalls and sonic walls, database safety and security, network communication, VPN, backup solutions, even getting you set up on the cloud. It's more expensive to fix the issue when it happens than it is to maintain it in the first place. 2018 is our year. I keep saying it. It's my year. It's going to be a lucky year. It's going to be a productive year. It's going to be an exciting year for me and for everybody. I feel it. I know it. It's going to be great. It's going to be huge. We want to make sure that it's going to be a good one, and don't be bothered with crazy expenses by computers crashing, shutting down on you, losing backups, losing programs, losing whatever, and then having to start from scratch. Let them help you. Give them a call. Tell them I sent you, and you'll get a free network analysis. They'll come out. They'll visit your business, review your system, help you any way that you can, even help guide you to get your for you to manage your own network. I really don't know anybody else that allows themselves to do that, but teach you the tools to do it yourself. They do have month-to-month plans available. You do not have to do long-term agreements. All you got to do is make the phone call, 316-201-4624, 316-201-4624, or visit them online at network-consultants.com. Again, network-consultants.com, proud sponsors here on The Voice of Reason, and we love it and appreciate it. All right, I want to hear from you, 721-8255-721-TALK. With On Your Mind, if you want to talk about the app, if you want to talk about some politics with whatever's happening, there is something that kind of fits in with the young generation and with the children, and maybe this would explain part of it. Maybe this would explain just a little bit of why they act the way they act, as there's a study in Kansas that according to Kansas, how many children experience childhood trauma before the age of 18? Nearly half. Almost 50%. Now, we've read the stories, and this goes directly into the politics that we've talked about before, about the massive number of incarcerated parents, incarcerated mothers. The children need, and I know that the progressives will disagree with me on this, but children need, in order for them to be mentally strong, for them to be stable, for them to have traditional values, for them to be operational, they need to have a motherly and a fatherly figure in their life, both of them. I know divorce rates are close to like 50%. I know that they're insane. I get it. But we need to find ways to have the mother and the father in their lives. Because when you don't, is when they start to be depressed. They have the mother issues or the daddy issues or whatever because they're away from them. They don't have that experience, that influence in their lives. And I know it's hard. It's very difficult. I've seen in my family, there's many members of my family that have gone through divorces of very vicious, brutal, bloody battles for their kids. And now what it is the competition on who can take care of them the best. And it's unfortunate because then you got to start playing the favorites and you got to start making them like you better than somebody else. And you start treating them as your best friend and you start getting them gifts rather than acting like the adult and like the parents. And it's very unfortunate. There's many people that I know that do that. But 45% of Kansas children under the age of 18 suffer an adverse childhood experience. When we talk about mental health, when we talk about depression, or we talk about psychosis, or we talk about mental issues altogether, whether it's PTSD from the military. We just saw the story about the convicted gunman up in Kansas City that the psychologist said that they had PTSD. Not his fault. We can get away with it. Got a mental illness. Go and get mental treatment, mental health, because once you get that better, then they wouldn't be doing something like this. But PTSD, we don't do enough for our military to help them with the PTSD that they receive or that they get from combat, from the things they see, the things they do. It's terrible. It's horrible. It's stuff that I can't fathom or even imagine, and I don't want to. And thank God we have people that do it. But it hurts them. And they have a hard time being able to recover from that. And sometimes we just don't spend enough time or money or attention onto the mental health issue for the military, for the children, for people that go through trauma, for people that maybe go through a mass shooting, people that go through a terrorist attack, whatever the case is. But children themselves, if we don't take care of them when they're children, what will they grow up to be? And that's the question I have for you. Such adverse experiences include a range of experiences that can lead to trauma and toxic stress and impact children's brain's development and physical, social, mental, and emotional and behavioral health and well-being. The schools have also seen an increased number of children with the incarcerated parents, roughly 16%. Just imagine you're a family, nice little household family. You're doing well. Maybe you're struggling financially. You're a little depressed, especially around the holidays. Can't buy all the gifts that you want to. Can't get everything that you need to get. The parents, the mother, going and trying to rob someplace to go steal the money, go steal a gift, go steal food, gets incarcerated, not having your mother. I couldn't imagine if my 3-year-old daughter did not have her mother around because she was incarcerated because she did something stupid, or not having myself around because I did something stupid. What would that do to the child? We don't look at these things enough. And what's the response every time that they act out later in life when they become the bully because they're hurting? Because they become a mass shooter, because they want to go and get lots of guns, because they want to harm somebody else. What's the response? The automatic response. We've talked about this before, the childhood, the social services, the government programs that try to consume the children. because the children need the government in their life. It's the community that raises them, right? So who gives a crap about the parents? It's the government. We put the Band-Aid onto the actual issue. We don't focus on the family values. Progressives don't like the family values. I hate to say it, but they don't like the traditional family values. It's unfortunate, but it's true. They don't care. They think anybody can have any type of childhood experience, grow up, and be completely normal. Or if they're not normal, then we need to make that the new normal, because everybody should be broken. Everybody should be damaged. Do you watch the movies today? The superhero movies, the comic book heroes, they're all damaged. They're all broken. They're very dark. They're very depressing. It's the person who their parents were slaughtered. It was the person who their parents died and they lived in foster care. It's the guy that had the family ripped apart from him. It's the wife who had the extreme masculine husband who abused her and who stole the kid away and who harmed him. It's someone with damage in their life, and that's what Hollywood's focused on, because that's what societies love to focus on. They love the damage, and that should be the new norm, remember? I told the story about my brother who was in college, who the professor themselves told my brother, because he's a white male with both of his parents still together, that he has gone through no suffering in his life, and he is the problem with society because you should be damaged. You should be a minority that has gone through some kind of racist behavior by somebody else. You should be the family that has a broken family who doesn't have a parent, and you're just struggling to survive on your own. And if you don't do that, then you are the problem with society. That's what we're focusing on in society today, which means that when we have someone with a mental health issue, because they really are damaged, we look at them as normal. We don't try to help them. We don't try to heal them. We don't try to cure them. We embrace it, and we say, you should feed off of that brokenness. You should feed off of that anger. You should feed off of that depression. And then if you respond accordingly to that, then we need to take care of you after the fact. Not before the fact, but after the fact. That's the way society's gone. And then, what do? We look at the mass shootings and say, we need more gun control. It's not because of mental health issues. It's not because people have gone through trauma in their life. It's not because 50%, 45% of the children in this state of Kansas, then just the state alone, 45% of the children have experienced childhood trauma. Some kind of trauma. It's not because of that, but it's because of the gun. It's because of the firearm. It's because of outside forces, not because of looking at the major issue. It's putting the bigger Band-Aid on it. The government, the progressives, the elitists, the establishment, knowing full well what the real issue is, saying there's an issue, creating more control over the issue, creating it even more so without addressing the issue in the first place. That's what we're in as society today. It's a very scary thing to be in. I don't want to bring you down during the holidays, but it's a very real issue that we need to address when we start looking at the opioid epidemic, when we look at depression, when we look at people who have mental illnesses. Instead of looking at their actions and trying to address the actions, maybe we should look at them as an individual and help them, get them back on track, and then they can move forward being healthy yet again. 721-825-5721-TALK. 12 minutes to the top of the hour. This is The Voice of Reason on KQAM.
This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Into the Voice of Reason, wrapping up hour number 2 right here on the Big Talker KQAM. I'm just sitting here enjoying the tunes. That's just what we do. 721-8255. I know the phones are a little quiet today. People, it's hard to wake up. I get it. It's almost 8 and it's still dreary and dark outside. Maybe you're sleeping in. Regardless, though, I want to hear from you. 721-825-5721-TALK. What's on your mind? Talking about childhood trauma, how we as parents take care of children in the first place allows them to be on stable grounds when they grow older, right? They can actually think about things rationally. They can have a clear head and a conscience when they actually go into certain situations. They can actually take care. We can be healthy. And here's the question I have. Let's go back even further. Let's go back even further a little bit, shall we? And let's talk about what you did. Maybe if you're a mother I want to hear from you, especially on this. If you're a mother, what did you do? What cravings did you have, maybe if you were pregnant? But how did you take care of yourself? We see a massive increase of kids with different mental illnesses or deformities or different issues, and it's happening a lot. ADHD or different physical abnormalities or different mental abnormalities or maybe whatever. How do you take care of yourself? Because society's changed too to allow you to do a little more things. You're a little more flexible. There's mothers who are wanting to fly on airplanes in 9 months. I don't know if you're allowed to. Maybe you are now with the different air pressure. I don't know. I know that when we were pregnant, that was not something that even crossed our mind to be allowed to do. Now, according to CNN, there's a story, mothers using marijuana while they're pregnant. Would that be something you're okay with? Now we talk about childhood trauma, then we talk about the issues, the mental illnesses, and we see more and more cases of different abnormalities or issues in society, and then we allow, we're not allowed to drink when you're pregnant, not allowed to smoke when you're pregnant, but now there's a rise in parents using marijuana. Why? To ease the morning sickness. Because they don't want to feel the nauseousness, they don't want to feel sick, so they smoke the doobie. Would that be something that you would approve of as a parent? Yes, no, or indifferent? I want to hear from you on that one. More pregnant women would seek using pot sometimes to ease the nausea of the morning sickness or a heightened anxiety. And a new study suggests that this slight rise of marijuana use is most pronounced among the younger in age. Oh, shocker. The young generation, don't touch my body, what I'm allowed to do. I'm allowed to have an abortion. I'm allowed to smoke marijuana. I'm allowed to do whatever I want to. You can't tell me what I can and cannot do. And it doesn't matter. It seems like we're taking the lack of responsibility to the extreme. Hence, the story that was the spoof, the satire on the fact that we're raising the age of responsibility from the Catholic Church to the age of 30, because how could the millennials possibly be responsible for their own actions when they haven't been taught to do so and they just like to be their own little children? But if it's my body, I can do whatever I want to, even while raising and growing a human being inside me. I'm going to do whatever I want to do because I am that selfish. Can you imagine being that selfish? I've never even fathomed that people could be that selfish. I couldn't even imagine something like that. But nonetheless, 7% of moms in California, of course, California, from 2009 to 2016, 7% said that they've used marijuana while they were pregnant. Among pregnant teens younger than 18, marijuana climbed to 12% to 21.8% for teens that were 18 years and pregnant. And among women 18 to 24, marijuana use climbed to 19%. Can you imagine? Would you do this as a parent? While you're growing a child inside you, you're not allowed to drink. You're not allowed to smoke cigarettes. My wife, she used to smoke cigarettes. She stopped as soon as she found out she was pregnant. Done. She quit cold turkey. The smoke made her nauseous in the first place. Stopped smoking. Just stopped. Couldn't do it. Didn't want to do it. Didn't feel like doing it. Made her sick because she smelled it. She couldn't drink alcohol. She's not a big drinker anyways, but she didn't drink alcohol. Not a sip at the time she was pregnant. Because now to turn around and say, okay, I'm not going to do that stuff, but I'm going to smoke marijuana. Boy, oh boy, that's taking it to a whole nother level, isn't it? 721-8255-721-TALK. Let's go to the phone to your show. Good morning. What's your name?
It's Nick.
Nick, what's going on, sir?
Hey, good morning, Andy. How are you?
I'm living the dream, my friend, every day. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas, sir. Yes, thank you. Hey, as long as we're talking about cannabis, I know we don't want to actually condone the smoking of substances, but there's also plenty of other ways that individuals can consume cannabis, and so I don't think it's just lump it all in that one aspect. But I think you're right. The care of the child has to be number one at all times.
Absolutely. And you're right. I mean, there is different ways. I mean, if they have, the sore feet, they got the lotion or whatever, and I'd be more apt to something like that with the lotion because the joints hurt or the feet hurt because they're swollen and they're not feeling well because they're pregnant, as opposed to smoking it and ingesting it through the lungs and through, the stomach and all that stuff for the baby to contract it. I would be scared to death to have my wife smoke it while she's pregnant. I mean, if she does it by herself, then all the power to her, I guess, and I don't necessarily care for it myself, but if that's what she wants to do, that's what she wants to do. But you're right. I mean, if there's a difference between using the cream because her joints hurt because she's having a hard time walking around with the big old belly and the extra weight and the water and everything of that sort, as opposed to actually smoking it and ingesting it to where the baby can get affected by it too.
Right.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you on that one. Nick, I appreciate that. Hey, Happy New Year's to you guys, my friend, as well. You guys enjoy the weekend. It's going to be a great time.
Yes, Happy New Year's to you too, sir. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Nick, very much. There, 720-8255. You're right. There is a big difference there. But this study itself was about just the smoking, congesting it through smoking, which could affect the baby. We don't know the effects of that. They don't like people drinking while they're pregnant. They don't like people smoking cigarettes while they're pregnant. Why we'd want to smoke marijuana while we're pregnant? Because, again, well, it eases my nausea because it's about me and not the baby. I have a really big problem with that. This is your show. It's time to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hour number 3 of The Voice of Reason coming up in just a minute. Stay here.
It's time for Reason.
They have really abused their power, saying, well, we're not going to tell you exactly how much money. They used to. This is how much money we need to see for it to be, quote-unquote, suitable, and that way you're constitutionally compliant. Nowadays, they say, yeah, you know what? We made a mistake back then. We're not allowed to tell you exactly how much because you do have the power of the purse, but only to some degree because we still get to tell you whether it's constitutional or not. So I can't tell you how much, but you need more money.
This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Then I'll get on my knees and pray. We don't get fooled again. Don't get fooled again.
Good morning to you. Welcome into The Voice of Reason right here. Hour number 3 of The Voice of Reason right here on the Big Talker. 1480 on the AM side, a 102.5 on the FM side. KQAM. It is a hashtag Wake Up Wednesday. That's right. We're Carpe Diem all over this place. We're getting excited. It's kind of the midway between Christmas and New Year's. You know, you got to get a few things done, I guess. And that's what we're here to do, help you get up and get moving. That's what we want to do on this morning. Welcome into it, 316-721-8255, 721-TALK. If you're going to join in, shoot me a message all over Facebook on the Voice of Reason page, the KQAM page, the Twitter at Hoosier Reason, the Facebook Live feed. Also, now I can officially announce, as I did earlier in the show today, that next week, I don't know why you want to see my ugly mug. I just don't get that. But nonetheless, I am so excited, so honored that starting next week, we're going to be broadcasting the same Facebook Live feed, the audio or the video that you can watch on our local cable here. KGPT channel 26.9 Newsmax TV going to be broadcasting all 3 hours of the show live every day. And then, of course, they're also going to be doing an hour in the evening to rebroadcast from 5:30 to 6:30, I believe. But it's going to be broadcast in Wichita and Garden City and Dodge City. Ladies and gentlemen, we have all of our platforms covered. We have radio, we have online, we have AM and FM, we have the social media and the Facebook Live, and now we're going to have TV as well. Can you believe it? This is truly, honestly, the fastest growing radio show in the entire state of Kansas. Your one and only local conservative talk show, and that's what we're all about. Welcome into it here. I want to get to our next guest. This week, we've been kind of doing a little bit of politics, a little bit of lightheartedness as we kind of do a year-end recap. What did 2017 look like? What does 2018 pan out to look like? And I'm really excited. We couldn't go this week without having one of our great guests, my great personal friend. We have him on the show all the time. I'm on his show all the time. It's a great time all around. Host of Armed American Radio, which you can hear live on Sunday nights from 7 to 10. The weeknight show at 8 o'clock right here on KQAM. Mr. Mark Walters himself. Mark, what's happening, man?
Merry Christmas, brother, and it is a great time. Hope you had a great holiday, my friend.
Merry Christmas to you. It was fantastic. I am on the tail end of this ridiculous cold stuff. I've never been this sick for this long, and it's driving me nuts, man. I
can tell.
I never felt this.
And I want to let listeners know, too, that you were unable to step up for me one day last week when I had some things to do because of this cold.
Oh.
So we all wanted to go away, man. We all wanted to go away. My listeners wanted to go away.
Oh, man, we all want this to go. And that Friday when you responded, I didn't even have a voice. I had to have our news guy, Rick, come in and help me out with the show. I couldn't talk at all. And I've never lost my voice before, man. I'd sip it on whiskey, eating green chili. That's what got me to at least have somewhat of a voice back.
sipping on whiskey will always work. If
that's
it
what it
doesn't,
does.
it will always do something to make something better.
Well, that's very true. That's very true. Well, I got to say, this year's awesome, and I got to thank you, Mark. I mean, the times that you've allowed me to step up and host your show as a guest host and come on as a guest on your show with you, and the times that you've come on this show, I love working with you. You're a great friend, Mark. I love being able to talk about the Second Amendment and guns and some of the other politics. But it's been a really, really cool year, and I really appreciate the opportunity with working with you, Mark.
Well, that's likewise. That feeling is mutual. I really enjoy working with you as well. I mean, you guys got a great thing going on there up the Voice of Reason. You know, the show's growing like crazy. I was just hearing you talk about your Newsmax TV gig. That's awesome. You know, lots of fun stuff happening. It's been a crazy year, not just because it's been a crazy year, but it's been a crazy year with Trump. It's been a crazy year with guns. Everybody that thought, well, Trump's in office, we can lay down now. I hope they've got their eyes open as we head into 2018. Because it's going to be another crazy year. So, yeah, agreed on all counts.
Oh, man, it's going to be a crazy one. Now, last time we had talked about the national reciprocity. I'm a little disappointed they did not get to it before the end of last week because now they're in holiday session. They're going to come back next year, technically, in a couple of weeks here. They have the Democrat that's going to be filling in for the Alabama seats. It's going to be a little bit more narrow of a margin. John McCain's going to be pretty much MIA for a while. I'm a little more nervous that we're actually going to be able to get this through.
You know, I'm going to be honest with you again. I'm not, and I can't tell you why. I'm not feeling the death of concealed carry reciprocity because of what you just mentioned, all which is true, by the way.
Sure.
Everything you just said is 100% factual. But that doesn't frighten me. The 2018 elections are looming large. Don't believe everything you read and everything you hear and see on mainstream media about the 2018 elections and the Democrats going to walk away with this thing and retake the House. The Democrats are in trouble. Trump's tax plan is going to blow this economy out of the water. The dynamic of everything that you heard from Pelosi and Schumer, who are nothing but a couple of liars, by the way, regarding 2018 is nothing but propaganda. All right, so that you've got 23 seats in the House, or excuse me, in the Senate that are up for grabs by the Democrats. 10 of those seats are in states that Trump won handily. One of those, just pick one for example, West Virginia, 42% Trump won that state by. Manchin's got to explain an anti-gun vote and a vote against concealed carry reciprocity in West Virginia during the election in 2018. Now add another 9. I'm not feeling frightened about it yet. Like you, I would have liked to have seen it pass before the end of the year. But honestly, let's play the political game. They were going to move tax reform first. Trump needed that legislative victory far more than he needed national reciprocity. We just have to accept that. While it's most important to us personally,
sure,
the tax reform package was much bigger for the party as a whole and for Trump's first year in office. He had to have that, and that's where they focused their efforts before they left. Now, reciprocity is not dead by any stretch of the imagination.
Sure. Well, and you're right. I mean, the tax reform was huge, and it was big to the sense to now even the Democrats are coming out and not criticizing the fact that it actually passed, but criticizing because they didn't make it permanent. I don't know if you saw the interview with Jake Tapper and Bernie Sanders.
Well, that was procedural. It's not permanent because none of them voted for it.
Exactly.
They could step up and still make it permanent, but they won't. But they know that most of us don't understand all that.
Sure. No, absolutely. But now, I mean, they're at least now admitting that everybody's getting a tax break. It's not the tax increase on the middle class and it's only for the corporations and the wealthy and yada, yada, yada. Kansas was the center of attention during that entire tax debate because of our quote unquote failed Kansas experiment from Governor Sam Brownback, which is absurd and preposterous. So we get the credit of the fact that the tax reform actually worked. We're going to see massive GDP growth in the country. We're going to see everybody going back to work and getting their money back in their paychecks. And this is going to be good across the country. So you're right. I mean, it was needed. It was necessary. I'm right there with you. I hope to see national reciprocity come through one of their first agenda items as soon as they come back.
It's not a bad thing to let some of the publicity die down, particularly when the other side has been paying millions of dollars to provide false and misleading information about that bill. So kind of let that slow down a little bit, let them come back over the holidays. This is not a bad thing. Yes, I would have liked to have seen it, but there are political realities that we have to be aware of. So don't fret on that. I think we're okay with that. I really do. I may be wrong. I'm the eternal optimist when it comes to this. You've got Shanine Allen out there, who happens to be a very dear friend of mine, who is now becoming the face of national reciprocity. She is a young, black, single mom who was pardoned by Christie so she didn't spend years rotting in a penitentiary in New Jersey.
Sure.
Everybody who sees and hears and reads about her story knows that would have never happened had there been a reciprocal agreement between states. And the more she becomes the face of the movement, and the more people begin to pay attention to her, the better off we're all going to be. You're going to be seeing a lot more of Shaneen Allen. Heck, the AP just wrote her up on Christmas Day. You're just beginning to see this move, so stay tuned for this.
Oh, absolutely. I was watching the news last night, and they were talking about how there are some people now suing different branches of the military because they're not filing the paperwork properly on background checks and for who should be allowed to have the guns. And this is coming after, of course, the shooting that happened out in Texas, the church, where the Air Force guy shouldn't have gotten the gun because of the filing of the paperwork. The Fix NICS bill, obviously attached to the national reciprocity, not going through yet. But what's your take on now the lawsuits coming out against the military saying, wait a second, you guys aren't filing your paperwork, so we're going to sue you now?
How much time do I have in this segment? And I ask that seriously.
You have 6 minutes, my friend.
Okay, this is fascinating. Sean asked me about this yesterday on Armed American Radio's Daily Defense. He threw me for a curveball when he said, hey, what's going on with the people suing the Pentagon? I said, who's suing the Pentagon? For what? Did a wall fall down? Did somebody fall down and slip on the ice? What's he talking about?
Right.
Well, what he was referring to, and I didn't catch it, was the Defense Department, which is what you're referring to, being sued now by three big, Democrat-controlled liberal cities.
Yes.
Philadelphia, New York City, and San Francisco. It's hard to get much more liberal than that. De Blasio, and then, of course, San Francisco, and throw Philadelphia in for the mix. Constitution Hall and everything else, some of the birthplace of our kind, and now a big liberal cesspool. Anyway, I digress, or I'm going to go off in different directions. This is fascinating for a number of reasons. I'm going to be forced to talk about this week because it's getting a lot of attention now, particularly this morning in the news cycle. But what you have is you have de Blasio from New York. We'll just pick on him because he's running his mouth about this. And these other two cities that are now suing the Department of Defense, quoting that they failed on behalf of the Department of Defense, which led to the loss of innocent lives by putting guns in the hands of criminals and those who wish to cause immeasurable harm. New York City is joining Philadelphia and San Francisco to stand up to the Department of Defense and demand they comply with the law and repair their drastically flawed system. We have to stand up to the DOD as if the DOD is somehow threatening them.
Yes.
This is the misinformation and the way that the media and these liberals will phrase this. Where I'm going with this is I'm going to ask this question. I filled out a 4473 myself this week for Christmas and brought home a brand new Glock 19 under my tree.
Very nice.
The background check system isn't going anywhere, folks. I don't care what you think about it. I don't care what you want to call me for saying that. It isn't going anywhere, ever. It's here to stay. I'm going to suggest we should have filed this lawsuit first. The National Shooting Sports Foundation and the National Rifle Association are out publicly stating their support for the Fix NICS and fixing the misinformation about that particular bill, which I've talked about multiple times on my show.
Sure.
I've warned people, don't be afraid of that bill. It's not a deal breaker when it comes to concealed carry reciprocity. It doesn't make anything else illegal. Okay? So let's make this very clear. That bill is going to pass. I don't like the bill because I don't think we need to add anything additional. We don't need a new law to make somebody comply with the old law.
Right.
Essentially is what Fix NICS does. But it isn't going anywhere. It puts some teeth into it. The NRA supports it. The National Shooting Sports Foundation supports it. None of the major players in the pro-rights movement are afraid of that bill. You've got some organizations that are fundraising on the back of it. Misleadingly, I might add, in some cases. But I don't know why didn't we, for example, take the bull by the horns and file that lawsuit first? We would have taken the PR coup away from who is now getting all the press, and that's the left. De Blasio, San Francisco, the rest of them. The gun grabbers are using this to come after us for background checks. We could have taken the bull by the horns, taken away their trough and their food, and sued them first. Now, that's just my first thought. I'm in the process of analyzing this to answer that question, but I want you to think about that.
Well, it's an interesting concept to it, and you're right. I mean, if we would have jumped the gun first and said, you guys aren't filing your paperwork, not because, we don't support the military, but because of the fact that you're just a government agency that's inefficient in actually filing your paperwork, this might encourage the Democrats, as you mentioned, the same ones that are suing the Pentagon for this, for the same ones to encourage them to support and pass the Fix NICS bill along with the national reciprocity, so they're attached together and we get what we want with the reciprocity bill, because then they will feel, like you mentioned before, like they're doing something. It's not really effective. It's really giving the kid a candy bar because they ate their vegetables when they were supposed to eat their vegetables in the first place and patting them on the head and saying, good job. But if that's what it takes for them to do their job appropriately as a government agency, then maybe that's even more power for us to encourage the passing of the bill.
It's the PR coup in and of itself. Look,
Right.
The overarching dynamic in play here is the fact that had the Department of Defense, in this case the Air Force, done their job, under the current law,
Yes.
not something that was put in place by Fix Nix, but under current law, the man's name would have been on that list. He would not have been able to walk into a federal firearms license dealer and purchase that gun. He would have been flagged. He would have had to go somewhere else. Now, for Senator Flake, who is a flake, to suggest that this guy is a prime example of someone who shouldn't have had a gun and wouldn't have had a gun had he been on that list, I would submit to him any individual that's willing to walk into a church and murder every parishioner in the pew is going to get a gun, Senator Flake. He just wouldn't have bought it legally at a gun store. He would have broken into a home, stolen it from his brother. He would have gotten a gun. We've seen that time after time after time. The failure of background checks.
Yep.
This wasn't the failure of a background check. This was the failure of the Air Force, as I've been talking about on my program.
Sure.
This is a prime example of Fix Nix. Really, is it necessary? If the Air Force had already done what they were supposed to do, this man wouldn't have been able to walk into that FFL and buy that firearm.
Sure.
So it poses the question. We know background checks are failures. As you know, we can point to dozens of criminals who have purchased guns and passed background checks because we are powerless to stop latent criminal activity. We know that we don't have a sixth sense. Background checks, by their very nature, only look back. They don't look forward.
Sure.
It's failed policy. It's feel-good policy. But it isn't going anywhere, okay? Understand that.
You know, it
It's
reminds
not
me of
going
that South Park episode. I don't know if you watch South Park or not. The Captain Hindsight that shows up, the superhero that shows up and says, "Oh, the building's on fire. They should have put an escape ladder on the side there. My job is done, Captain Hindsight, to your duty." And that's what we're doing here. We made some issues. Okay, we're not looking forward to try and fix it in the future. We're just trying to say, well, you guys screwed up in the past.
Well, we need to put this in proper perspective. This would have removed the Texas murders just one more alley he could have walked down to purchase or pick up a firearm. That's all. It would have removed his ability of him to purchase a firearm from a federally licensed dealer. But as we all know, time after time after time, a criminal that wants a gun is going to get a gun. Take the case of Adam Lanza in Connecticut. If you're willing to walk into a church and murder 30 parishioners and 8-month-old babies, you don't have a problem blowing your mother's head off, which is what Adam Lanza did. Sorry about the graphic visual.
Sure.
But he murdered his mother by shooting her in the face and stealing her guns. This individual was going to get a gun, okay? So from a public relations, there's a reason that de Blasio and the rest of them are doing what they're doing. They're taking the lead in the PR department on this. And I think the interesting question would be, should we have filed it first? Should our side have filed it first and said, hey, Air Force, we talk about this all the time. We hate background checks, but if we got them, get them right.
Sure. No, absolutely. Mark
You
Walters.
failed. Let's go back to Charleston.
Exactly. I mean, there's evidence all across the board that their operations don't like to work, and I mean, we got to make it as mainstream as we can. We got to take a break here. You got a little time to join us for a little bit longer?
As long as you need me, brother.
Hey, fantastic. Let's go ahead and take a break. Your thoughts and calls, if you do want to chime in here as well, 721-8255, 72 on Talk. This is The Voice of Reason on KQAM. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier on the Big Talker KQAM.
Welcome back into The Voice of Reason right here on the Big Talker, KQAM, 27 minutes past the hour, just a few minutes before the bottom of the hour. And after the bottom, I do want to, Mark, I want to ask you about, in the last hour, we were talking about childhood traumas. 45% of Kansas children say that they've experienced some sort of trauma. We see the incarceration rates higher. We see crime rates higher. And instead of actually trying to address the actual issue of why we're seeing incarceration rates higher and childhood trauma and actually focusing on family values, we focus on putting the Band-Aid on it by increasing spending for social services and attacking the guns when we have a child who may have grown up with a mentally unstable family and he becomes or she becomes a little mentally unstable. We're not addressing the serious issues because it's all about the gun control. So I want to talk to you about that after the bottom of the hour, but we got a minute and a half here. Your thoughts wrapping up 2017, the most memorable time of 2017 in relation to guns. Was it the national reciprocity? Was it the fact that Trump got elected and that we did take a sigh of relief when it comes to guns? What do you think was the most memorable time of 2017 related to guns?
Well, clearly it was Trump's inauguration. because we can tie everything else back to that. We can tie Neil Gorsuch's appointment and subsequent confirmation, or nomination and subsequent confirmation via the Senate to the Supreme Court, back to Trump's inauguration. We can tie back the greatest shift. The greatest shift. Remember that guy that used to do the infomercials for the vitamins, the greatest vitamins in the world? Remember that guy?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, he's dead now, but he can't do what I can do it. The greatest shift in the world as it pertains to our right to bear arms is occurring now in our lower courts, in the federal district courts, in lifetime appointments, and at federal appellate court levels, because Trump is putting historical numbers of pro-rights judges who act in the vein of Antonin Scalia and his originalist approach to the interpretation of the Constitution. This is generational in scope, and that ties back to the inauguration of Donald Trump. So we couldn't have done anything else without that. So that is clearly the biggest of all, is Donald Trump's inauguration. And I say that because there were people trying to stop his inauguration after he was elected in 2016. So it was no small feat.
Oh, sure. And I remember we sat down and we chatted right around this time last year when you said, hey, you know what? We're going into the holidays. We're just weeks away from the inauguration. Take a break. Pat yourself on the back because we deserve it, because this is going to help us immensely. We'll continue this when we come back. Bottom of the hour news, your thoughts and calls when we come back. This is The Voice of Reason on KQAM.
Don't take money, don't take fame.
Taking talk radio to the next level. The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Welcome back into The Voice of Reason, wrapping up the show today. Can you believe it? It goes by way too quick. I don't know where the time goes. We need like a whole nother 3 hours or something. Just kidding. Welcome in, 721-8255-721-TALK. If you want to join in here, Armed American Radio, you can hear them live Sundays. The big monster broadcast from 7 to 10 o'clock live right here on KQAM. The Daily Defense Hour, 8 o'clock at night here, right after Joe Pags on the Big Talker KQAM. Mark Walters here on the line with us. Merry Christmas to you, my friend. By the way, you said you got a brand new gun that was nestled nicely under the tree this year, correct?
I did. Well, I didn't give it time to nestle under the tree. I holstered it immediately.
That's right.
It's a Gen 5 Glock 19. It's a wonderful firearm. I was talking with good friend, trainer Rob Pincus, about the Gen 5 Glock 19. Glock 19, probably one of the most venerable carry guns ever. Very, yes, Trump would say very, very great.
Yes, it was very bigly. It was bigly. It was huge.
Glock made some significant changes. I don't know, cosmetically appealing. You know, they beveled the mag well. There's a little groove, the finger groove on the mag well now for supposedly for making the gun a little bit easier to reseat a new magazine. You know, the kind of beveled down not beveled down, but reshaped the muzzle. They've made some internal changes to the gun. We won't go into the whole gunsmith aspect of it, but the spring is no longer interchangeable with the other Glock 19. So they've made some, I guess you could call that fairly significant change to the gun, but it's a Glock 19. So Rob's deal was, hey, why don't you go with a Gen 4 or Gen 3 and stayed with tried and true? I said, because I wanted something new.
Sure.
Give me something new. So I got something new. I said, Rob, can't I just get a new gun? He said, of course you can. That's why I bought it.
I tell you, it's fun to be able to see the new ways of how they crafted I mean, it's like a car. They come out with the new model, with the new design. There's some kind of, sexiness to it, I guess, a little bit, or the feel to it, or the comfort to it. It's just exciting to get something new and see what they can come out with.
Well, there's an argument to be made that you should wait and maybe not buy the first one off the presses. There's an argument to be made for that. The iPhone 10 is a prime example of that. They're not selling as many as they want. People want to see tried and true technology. Let somebody else be the sucker and see what happens, and I'll buy it next year. Well, we're going to find out. I plan on putting a lot of rounds downrange through this Glock 19, and I'll let you know and report back how I like it.
Very nice. Are you an iPhone guy, by the way?
I am, yes.
You are? You like the iPhones? I'm trying to get used to them. I got the iPhone 7. I don't like the fact that you cannot plug in a pair of headsets without having an adapter to it. If you can't do a simple thing like plug it in a headphone jack, then
Well, get the iPhone 8 because it comes with the one that has the lightning cord. You don't have to worry about that anymore.
Okay, all right. That's what I got to upgrade. I got the 7 right now.
You can do that. I tried to go Android. It didn't work in any of my cars or anything else, so I went right back to iPhone. But I just and I've got Macs for everything. That's why they just talk to each other. So
very good. You got the whole network and communication here.
Yeah.
We got a phone call. Let's go and take a phone call, shall we? 721-825-572 on Talk. Good morning. What's your name?
This is old Geezer.
Geezer, what's going on, my friend?
Well, I was listening this morning, and I heard about that your guest's suspicions regarding the 2018 year.
Yes.
And I couldn't tell you how much I agree. I think that the victory that Donald Trump has had will be accentuated by the elections in 2018. I think the American people, I think this is an event that has already occurred. The people who don't recognize it are behind the curve. The people of the United States have determined they've had enough of the garbage.
Mm-hmm.
They want the swamp drained, and they want it done right now. I disagree with you rather emphatically, calling what we've done with taxes tax reform. It's not tax reform. It's tax rate reform, which is temporary, and it's temporary by its nature no matter what's done.
Sure.
Because the next Congress they can't obligate the next Congress, period.
Sure. No, absolutely.
What we need to do is we need to kill the stinking income tax for everyone. No American should ever be drugged before any kind of governmental agency, treated like an errant school child about what it is he's done with his own money, period.
I completely agree, and I want to let's shift it over to Mark. Mark, what do you think about the tax reform, the Donald Trump movement, and in the whole movement that we have going on right now?
I'm absolutely in agreement with him. Just as much as I would say we don't need a permit to carry a firearm because we have a constitutional right recognized and spelled out in the Second Amendment to do so, we shouldn't be giving our money away to the federal government. It's illegal. They've written it into the tax code. They're confiscating our money. They don't tax us. They confiscate it. They take it forcefully. They did it in a brilliant maneuver by taking it piece by piece in what they call the payroll deduction, so people don't notice it. The fact that we have gross income versus net income is patently absurd, and we ought to fight to change that. Is that going to happen anytime soon? Realistically, no, because the beast is too big. Now we're going to have to do what Donald Trump did, which is, again, the tax rate reform. And I love the way he phrased that. But he's absolutely right about being behind the eight ball. Anybody that's not seen what's occurring here. And I love the fact that old geezer, I love that. Anybody calls in the radio and identifies themselves as old geezer, I love that. Let me make a point to him, to the caller, and I want you to understand. You're absolutely correct. But make no mistake, there are very powerful and very well-funded sources trying to interrupt everything that Donald Trump is doing, including removing him from office. They are not going to go away. They are not going to stop. And the biggest danger we face is the fact that they also control the media. Mm-hmm. And we have to recognize that. We can never, ever, ever lay down. But he's right. He's right in the sense that come 2018, I think you're going to see the whole narrative, because what they're doing is creating the narrative. They want you to think something's happening, when in reality, Trump has had more accomplishments than any president in the last 4 or 5 presidents. So, yeah, I love it. I love what's happening. I agree with him wholeheartedly.
Well, and like you said, I mean, we're frustrated. We want change now. We don't want to wait. The Congress, when Mitch McConnell goes down to Kentucky and says, well, Donald Trump's just pushing us too hard. And we had a really successful year. I mean, we nominated a Supreme Court justice and did tax reform in 1 year. We did 2 things. That's a really good year. And he's just making things go way too quickly for the way things operate here. That's why people are angry and frustrated. And I see the fire being lit behind some of these guys in 2018.
Well, you absolutely did. You saw it as the momentum for tax reform package move. That was Mitch McConnell pulling a classic swamp CYA and covering his own butt for not moving and getting anything done. National reciprocity got caught up in that, but you're going to see a tremendous amount of movement moving forward. I think that, quote-unquote, we'll just call it tax reform because that's what the media is referring to it as, but that's the momentum that was gained. I think you're going to see moving forward. They're going to leave them behind. They're just flat out going to leave the Democrats in the dust. And look, if the Democrats don't want to get on board, and they're not going to, with what just happened with taxes, every single one of them are on record of not supporting you getting more money in your paycheck. Every single Democrat.
Yep.
is on board with it. Let the economy blow them right by. I wonder how they're going to handle that. I can't wait to watch the clown show coming out of Pelosi and Schumer when that occurs.
Oh, it's going to be a great time. Let's go back to
It really is. You'll have a lot to talk about, brother.
Oh, hey, dude, it's going to be 2018. I'm telling you what, with what's happening in Kansas, what's happening at the federal level, there's going to be more to talk about than what we know what to do with. I used to do a lot of show prep. Nowadays, all you got to do is look at the headlines, and you have 3 hours worth of content right there.
It's right in front of you. You know, that's what makes me amazed at guys like Rush Limbaugh who were doing this long before there was an internet screen in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
When their show prep consisted of newspapers and tons of paperwork, you can actually do show prep in real time on the fly while you're talking with a guest by simply pulling it up online, and it's amazing. That really shows you the brilliance of some of those old talkers like Rush and everybody else. Hey, I hope you can keep me for the top of the hour. We've got way too much to talk about.
Well, I tell you, we'll go to the top of the hour here for sure. We got another phone call I want to take, and then we'll take another break and wrap up the show for you today. 721-825-5721 Talk here. Good morning. What's your name?
It's Eddie.
Eddie, how are you, sir?
I'm fine. How are you?
We're living the dream, my friend, every day.
Hey, I got something. The other day, since I'm retired, I went out and, well, actually during the past several days, I've gone into a lot of Quick Trips and a lot of other places where police officers sometimes go and hang out a little bit.
Sure.
And I've asked 4 separate police officers. I said, how are things going? Et cetera, like that. You know me, hell, I'm not shy. And all 4 of them said that they're disappointed that the police chief is not harder on crime. And about 3 of them said they're disappointed in the black uniforms that they're wearing. Now, one of them said to me, just for instance, about a year ago, this new police chief went up in the North End and they had a barbecue for all the people up there, all the hoods and et cetera like that. And now, this past year, they've had the highest crime rate they've ever had up there. And he said, how did that work out for him? They want him to be harder on criminals. And all this guy wants to do is hold hands and play Ring Around the Rosie and sing Kumbaya or whatever it is with all those bad people. That's all through the city. And so they want him to be harder and tougher.
Very interesting.
Let me ask the caller a question. Wouldn't that be prosecutorial, though? Is that really the police chief himself? Are you telling me that the police chief is telling the officers not to make certain arrests in certain crimes? Or is it that the prosecutors aren't prosecuting certain crimes? There's a difference.
Okay, this is Mark, isn't it? Okay.
Yes, it is. Hi, Eddie. Yes. How are you, brother?
Oh, I'm fine, Mark. I just love your show, by the way.
Thank you.
Yes. They also said that the district attorney, unless he has a solid case, he's backing off. So we have a problem in Wichita, which the police don't want to be too aggressive for fear of getting in trouble, and the district attorney is kind of shy about prosecuting unless he has a solid slam dunk case.
What party controls Wichita?
Pardon?
What party controls Wichita, the local government?
It's not affiliated. We don't actually have affiliations for locally elected officials.
Good.
Yeah. So it's interesting, and Eddie, I appreciate it. I don't want to cut you off short here. We got to take a break in a minute, though, but it's an interesting point. And Mark, I'm glad you brought that up with the legal side of it as opposed to just law enforcement, because law enforcement gets heat left and right. And I agree that we need to be extremely tough on individuals. We do need to do the outreach to communities is just as much as we need to enforce, but I don't want that to be a sign of weakness. But as you mentioned, if it's not even law enforcement, if we are doing the job on the streets, but they're not actually being persecuted, then we got a whole other issue we need to address here.
This is a slide left over from the Obama era.
Sure.
Where attacking the cops are afraid to do their job. Eddie, the caller, referenced that they, so that comes back to I'm afraid of doing my job. You got the whole racial thing involved in that. The Trump era is going to fix a lot of this stuff.
Right.
Okay. So I would leave it at that. I would tell you that law enforcement radically supports Donald Trump. There's been a huge sea change at the top echelons of law enforcement across the country in support of Donald Trump. So,
we have to allow the process to actually fix it, to have time to be able to readjust. As you mentioned, I mean, they do support Trump. They do want to do their job. I believe our sheriff, our county sheriff, is actually phenomenal. Sheriff Jeff Easter, and he's done a great job. The Wichita City Police, they have their things, and I haven't really been able to talk to them as much, but they do want to actually do their job, but sometimes their hands were tied on certain issues. We got to take a break here, about 48 minutes past the hour. When we come back, Mark Walters, we got a last couple questions for you. Wrapping up 2017. I cannot believe it. This year's gone by way too quick. This is The Voice of Reason right here on KQAM. Stay here.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Wrapping up the show today. Welcome back into the Voice of Reason right here on the Big Talker KQAM. I do want to remind you, and you'll get a kick out of this, Mark, on Friday, wrapping up the year for our pre-New Year celebration. We're going to be simulcasting our sports show over on KGSO, our sister station, 1410 KGSO, along with my show. And we're going to have the Sedgwick County Sheriff's Office in studio as we do breathalyzers and begin our adult beverage consumption for our DUI awareness at 6 a.m. on the show.
Fantastic. I love it.
It's going to be a good time. I have openly nominated myself to be consuming the moonshine while the other's going to be doing whiskey, the other beer, and another with wine. So we have plenty of different beverages to see the difference in the beverage consumption effects at 6 a.m. on Friday morning. It'll be a great time.
Remember to watch your language. No satellite radio moment word.
No satellite radio moment word. I don't even really swear that much. The problem I have is you'll see how many times the word communist, pinko flaming commie actually comes out of my mouth.
You're right about that.
There you go. Wrapping up the show. We got about 4 minutes here, Mark, but moving forward, I briefly teased it, but I want to get your take on this. The difference between we see the opioid epidemic, we see the mental health issues, we see the childhood traumas that I talked about earlier in the show, 45% of children in the state saying that they have childhood trauma, the parents that are incarcerated. We're seeing more and more the family breaking down and more issues on that front. And then when they do something stupid, then we blame the gun control and we need more gun control. When are we going to start focusing on the real issues rather than putting the Band-Aid on it by more government regulation and control?
We've been fighting that fight for years and years and years, and the left doesn't want us to have that discussion because it's a discussion that they can't win. Mm-hmm. Because they want to focus on the gun. Make sense?
Sure.
They can't win it. That's why I suggested maybe we ought to have been, it might have been our side that took the lead in that suit against Department of Defense. And I'll tell you why. I want you to take a listen to what San Francisco City Attorney Dennis Herrera, who was a radical leftist, said in a statement that the Department of Defense's failure to accurately report criminal convictions puts Americans at risk. And I quote him, "We cannot accept the level of gun violence in our country as just the way it is." This is how they create the narrative, that we have a gun violence epidemic in this country. We don't. We have a criminal, gang, drug epidemic, crime epidemic. You want to put these people, you start locking these people up, and you watch crimes go down. It's that simple of an equation. That's why the left never wants to talk about what's happening in Chicago, Andy, because we have solutions to those problems. They simply want to blame the gun.
Sure.
And it doesn't work. And as long as they continue to do that, and quite frankly, we're at fault a little bit here, because we allow them to take control of the language. We allow them to call it a gun control debate. There is no gun control debate in America. That debate ended December 15th, 1791.
Sure.
When the Bill of Rights was ratified. The debate was over. And by even allowing them to call it a debate, we cede territory. There is no debate. We won the debate. And we've got to take this language back. It's critical.
It really is. I mean, we've talked about that before with the language. They have hijacked the language. They've hijacked the terminology. They've hijacked the discussion to where it's very easy for them to say, Mark, you are a white supremacist, bigoted, neo-Nazi racist, and therefore anything you say I shouldn't listen to because now you're categorized as such. Just like Roy Moore, you're a pedophile, even though you're not really, but you're a pedophile. So therefore, you shouldn't be listened to no matter if you have good ideas or bad ideas. It's irrelevant. We dismissed it. You're not part of the discussion, which means, guess what? We're by default the winners because you're just an evil, terrible person.
Because they control the media.
Exactly.
And when they control the media, it's not just what you just said. It's also what they don't say about you.
Yep.
It's also that their failure to report stories like the black man, concealed carry permit holder in Florida, who saved a white deputy at the deputy's request with his what would have been his last words, which were, shoot him, shoot him.
Mm-hmm.
When the black guy was beating him within an inch of his life, trying to take his weapon, who would have killed him on the street, while other people stood there and filmed it from afar.
Right.
On a busy interstate highway, and the black guy pumped 2 shots into the guy's chest, didn't kill him, and the cop said, shoot him in the head, and he did, and he ended it, and the media never covered the story. Why? Because they don't want to cover a black concealed carry permit holder lawfully using his weapon to defend a white cop
Yep.
on a city street. It destroys their narrative.
That's what it is. Mark Walters, host of Armed American Radio. Mark, Happy New Year to you, my friend. It's an honor to be able to call you a great friend.
And likewise, brother.
I love having you on the show. We got to do it again soon, but Happy New Year's to you. Getting ready for 2018, my friend. It's going to be a good one.
Happy New Year, Wichita. I love you guys.
I love it. This is your show. It's time to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. This is the Voice of Reason on KQAM. Have a great day, everybody.